What's up, guys? Welcome to BitCast episode 41 for the week of October 1st, 2017. I'm your host, as always, Jake Martin, and in the studio, almost as always, Matt Intiman.
Hey, how's it going?
Matt, thank you so much for being here, man.
Dude, I love it.
It's a glorious day today. We have great weather.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost October,
Yep.
and my house smells like pot roast.
What more could you want?
I just made this outline, so we're going to be winging a lot of this today. Going to be talking about stuff. You haven't even seen this outline yet.
Hey, I like to do it off the top.
Just go with it, and we have really insightful stuff to say, especially when you just have read it and know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this is all stuff that we're pretty well versed in at this point.
Yeah,
so
we're experts.
It's
going to
be a good episode.
Yeah. So real quick, for anyone that's tuning in, we are going to be discussing today, obviously, the news of the week. I've decided to just shorten that little segment where I list off everything. That way it's more of a surprise. But we're talking about news as usual. And then it's a big day. The SNES Classic came out yesterday.
It did.
And Matt and I both have one.
Mm-hmm.
Thank the Lord.
He pre-ordered. I didn't.
We'll talk about that at the end of the show here. But yeah, first, just a quick bit of housekeeping. If you are a listener, be sure to write into BitCast at BitBloggist.com to have your questions or topics read off, and we'll give you a shout out there. And leave reviews on iTunes, or if you want to even go further than that, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm getting things loaded there. I'm a little behind right now in terms of getting our past few podcasts up and our Let's Play stuff. So,
But yeah, seriously, please email in. We won't be reading one today just because we've gotten so many responses in the past couple of weeks. But definitely add your opinions and thoughts to that.
there are almost 1,000 of you out there. Okay, so I know for a fact that one of you has heard this.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid. It's okay. And maybe if you're getting an error, just let me know. Just shoot me a message on Facebook, and I'll respond to you. But before we jump in, as always, as is tradition, I want to know what everyone's playing. So Matt, what you been playing on so far?
Man, I feel like I've got too much to play right now, which is a good problem to have, but
Yes.
still playing Samus Returns, Metroid
Good,
Samus
good.
Returns for the 3DS. It's incredible. It
Still-
gets better and better.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Because I know you were a little like,
No, it just feels so good to play Metroid.
Yeah.
It really is. And the game has gotten really, really good towards the end, and the progression is super fun. Like how many power-ups you get and how powerful you feel now as opposed to when I did when it's funny. It's cool.
okay.
Definitely check it out.
I saw a 2DS XL in Target today,
Yeah.
and I was like, goodbye that.
I thought your brother was going to send you one.
Dude, I don't know when it's going to show up.
Man, that's not good.
He's in college. He doesn't know what he's doing.
That is not
He doesn't know
good.
how to send a shipping label.
So yeah, Samus Returns. Haven't really played Rabbids much recently.
Neither have I. I've been a little slack in there.
And then, of course, the SNES, which we'll talk about.
Gosh, I love the SNES. So I don't know if I talked about this in the last podcast. No, I definitely didn't. I can't remember. Either way, I have Destiny 2 now,
That's right.
and I know I said I wasn't going to play it, but I am definitely playing it.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. Definitely a grind. Jacob McGee, friend of the show, reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I see you're on that Destiny grind right now." And I was like, "Yes, unfortunately, yes, I am." But it's been fun. I've been playing with my brother, Cameron, another friend of the show, and it's been fun. However, it is very much Destiny in every sense of just having to grind it out over and over and over again until you get to 300, and then the game really starts.
So
And
is it just like repetitive until you're getting to level 300?
it's not
or-
necessarily repetitive. There is a lot of variety right now, and I've enjoyed playing it. But because my older brother, had already played the entire story, he basically just blasted me and Cameron through the campaign. So it wasn't even like Cameron and I didn't really get a chance to actually enjoy it. We were just like, he's like, "Bros, okay, let's go." He like knew exactly what to do, and every
Yeah.
single was like, "Okay, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here." Done.
Mhm.
And so we beat the campaign in like maybe 5 or 6 hours.
That's awesome.
Sort of awesome. So the game itself, great, having fun with it.
So you would probably recommend it to people that would have friends to play with.
Yeah, play with if you're playing with people and you have a quality team of like 6 people to play with, it's awesome. Right now I have that sort of, and it's been fun hopping on, but I see myself falling off shortly after
Really?
I finished getting to 300. Just for the experience, but I'm enjoying it. So then I guess drink of the show real quick. You got a nice Wiseacre. What is that? Tiny Bomb?
Tiny Bomb.
Great beer.
Yeah,
Great beer.
it's a nice pilsner. Very tasty.
And pretty soon we're getting. Are you a person who likes to drink seasonal beers as they like? Do you change your beer preference as it gets into different seasons?
I think I do. Yeah. I mean, definitely got to hit up the Oktoberfest in the fall, and I'm a fan of pumpkin beers as well.
Oh yeah, pumpkin beers. Some people might think they're girly, but they're delicious. say what you want to say.
There's some really good ones out there too.
Yeah, these ain't no PSLs. So, with that being said, let us jump into the news. So first on the list, we have voice actors and video game makers have reached an agreement to end a strike. I honestly didn't even know there was a strike happening.
Yeah.
With voice actors and video game makers.
Mm-hmm.
However, this one is a pretty big deal. I'm gonna pull up a quote here on my phone real quick. But this was the longest strike in SAG-AFTRA, whatever that guild is, since 1993.
Wow.
So it was. Let's see here. The Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Arts, reached a tentative agreement on early Saturday morning with the 11 video game companies that it had been striking against. SAG-AFTRA announced today affected publishers include industry heavyweights like Activision, Electronic Arts, Take-Two Interactive, and Warner Bros. Interactive.
Wow.
So there's a lot of people on this list. And then like what I was saying here, video game companies began negotiations in February of 2015 following the expiration of the union's most recent video game acting contract at the end of 2014.
Wow.
Wow. So yeah, it became the longest strike in the history of the Screen Actors Guild, which was founded in 1933. Oh, I'm sorry, 33.
Dang. But I thought you said the last strike was 93.
Yeah, I lied. It was actually 33.
Well, it was founded in 33.
Oh.
But
bad.
was the strike in 93?
So I guess, this might be the longest strike ever then.
Okay, wow.
Longest strike in the history of the Screen Actors Guild. So
Dang.
I only wanted to bring this up because it's something you don't often think about.
Yeah.
When you're thinking of video games, it's so much more prevalent in TV and movies.
Mm-hmm. But I wonder if in 2017 games are at a point where voice acting is such an integral part of the game.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if that's why maybe, and I feel like you start seeing more celebrities showing up in games too, or like well-known voice actors, well-known just actors too, getting into video games. It seems like a bigger industry now than it was maybe 5 or 10 years ago, or maybe 10 years ago.
Well, yeah, and like even anime stuff, like Miyazaki films, they have like huge names that are always on those films.
Mm-hmm.
Wes Anderson's kind of more of a different individual, but he always, all of his claymation, like Fantastic Mr. Fox and his new one, they have huge names in those as well. And so I think really any actor is not opposed to doing a well-written or well-scripted, movie or TV show or even game now.
Yeah.
And as we get closer and closer to games being more of an accepted medium and being like really well made, I think that'll be a thing we see more and more of. So, yeah, I mean, really, I'm a person that plays games for the story a lot of times. So,
well, I mean, that's good. If the strike is over, hopefully they got what they wanted and they're getting
the strike is over,
getting paid what they deserve. I mean, that's probably not easy.
What do you think they get paid to do this?
It probably depends on the game. If it's a AAA game, I'm sure they get a pretty decent paycheck.
Yeah, Activision on that list. I know they had Kevin Spacey for Call of Duty.
Really? As like the villain or something? Yeah.
And then Kit Harington.
Yeah.
Jon Snow for the other Call of Duty.
I bet it's like the big names get paid a ton, and then if you're a minor voice actor on a game, you probably don't hardly get anything.
Yeah, the minor people are probably like the guys just making like the death noise. It's like, ugh!
I also heard that sometimes they'll do voice recordings and they won't even know what they're recording for.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, you just go in, you have lines, and then you read it. It's like, no, try to sound more like a pirate or something, and then it turns out you're in like Assassin's Creed Black Flag or something.
That would be nuts. Like, what if you like did voice acting for something and you had no idea what it was, and when it comes out, it was something that you absolutely did not want to be a part of? You're like, oh no.
I mean, paycheck's a paycheck, though, so I don't know.
Yeah, I guess as long as I can't trace it back to you, it doesn't matter. Up next on the list, Sony doesn't consider handheld gaming to be a huge market opportunity.
Do you think that's just because Nintendo is dominating so much they don't see it as an opportunity for them to compete, or what?
So I think that's part of it. I have a quote here from Sony's Andrew House. He said, "The Nintendo device Switch is a hybrid device, and that's a different approach and strategy. We have not seen that handheld gaming as being a huge market. Huge market opportunity. The Vita experience was that outside of Japan and Asia, there was not a huge demand. A lifestyle shift towards the dominance of the smartphone as the single key device that is always with you was the determining factor." He went on later to say, like, in this interview, that basically Sony, like, Nintendo has their own business plan. We have ours. It just shows that, Sony has been doing it. He turned it into a very PR move, but he was like, oh, it just shows that Sony has been doing great without, handheld, because really we have so many other key entertainment factors like our electronics, not beyond the PS4.
Right.
TVs, movies, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I think he's exactly right, though, about how smartphones are kind of the replacement for that, because I play my DS at home. I don't really, portability isn't a huge factor for me because I'm usually sitting on the couch with it plugged in anyway.
Yeah. And, like, if, the beauty of the Switch is that I can take it off the dock and then go sit in bed if I want to and, like, play a few levels of whatever. But oftentimes I find myself still on the TV, so he is right in saying that, like, handheld gaming is probably not a big...
Yeah, and that's just us. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that take their DS everywhere and play on the subway, play on their, if they take public transport, stuff like that.
Oh, and that's what it was. It was, he was asked specifically saying, like, hey, the Switch is outselling the PS4 comparatively in their first couple of months on the market in Japan. What do you have to say about that? Because these are two Japanese, like, tech giants. And that was his response was the second thing I said, where he was like, well, we're doing a good job then, I guess, everywhere else because we're still making a ton of money. So
fair enough.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Valve has removed nearly 200 cheap fake games from Steam.
I was reading about this, and people were saying it's a good start, but it's really just a drop in the bucket. I mean, there's
so much garbage out there.
Yeah, like not even... They're not even games. They're just like, and I was reading there's some way that they kind of skirt around the upload fee. Like, I guess Valve takes a portion or takes a fee to get your game on Steam.
That would make sense. Yeah.
But somehow they're getting around that, and there's just a bunch of trash on there that I guess they're starting to clean out, which is good.
Kind of like the App Store or like the
I guess so.
All of like the shovelware that gets on there.
Yeah, but I mean, Apple reviews all the apps before they go up. So I mean, there's crappy apps, but I don't think they serve some function for the most part.
Yeah, I wonder what games are on Steam. I didn't read this article in depth, but I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's interesting that even something as significant as Steam. Because whenever I think of Valve and Steam, I think of high quality.
Yeah.
These are pretty big PC games, but it's also like a developer community, like where there's a bunch of really cool indie games and greenlit games that are just one guy making a game on his computer.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see how certain things could find their way onto the store that like aren't really games. It's like, okay, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like it's like there's like predatory games out there where basically they're designed for like kids to find on accident, and then like it just because like that was the issue with the iPhone,
and just steals all their information or something,
or like they just like click to buy more of whatever, and it's like $1,000 this kid's racked up in one day. And it's like, oh, okay,
yeah, that's messed up.
Oh man, drink of water. Sorry. So the next one is Red Dead Redemption 2 got announced this week, or we got some new trailers and a release date.
Yeah.
Which is pretty exciting. Did you get a chance to watch this?
I did. It looked awesome.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought it looked super cool. Kind of looked like a typical Rockstar storyline. I really like the character in the first one. This character seems a little different. Does somebody famous voice him? His voice was very like distinct.
The guy's name is like John Marston or something like that. I can pull it up real
fast. Wait,
fast.
I think that's the character in the first game.
Yeah, but you're playing as, or they were asking like what. I don't know. I never played the first one, so like a lot of what they were talking about or people were excited about, I was like, I don't know what that means.
Oh well, no, I was just wondering what the voice actor was for the main character in Red Dead Redemption 2, just because his voice sounded kind of familiar, but I could just be
no one really knows,
making that up.
It's a full blown mystery, actually.
It's a mystery.
But either way, this is exciting. We got some release dates on this, so it'll be coming out June 2018.
Okay,
it's pretty soon.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
The trailer looked great.
Yeah, Yeah.
It's definitely got a GTA look and feel to it. Like, it's got that Rockstar feel to it.
You said you haven't played the first
Mm-mm.
one? Oh, man, I put so many hours in the first one. It's incredible.
And this game looks really good.
Yeah.
That was the biggest takeaway for me. I was like, this looks like a very good looking game. Even though GTA 5 is just phenomenal in terms of what they accomplished with that game in size and scope. But
yeah, this is probably going to be a lot bigger than GTA 5.
I just love the Western setting.
Yeah, and in the first one, you could like gamble and like catch robbers, and it's just everything you'd want to do in the Wild West.
It'll be
awesome.
like Westworld basically.
It will, yeah.
Oh my god,
it's gonna be awesome. Super pumped.
Yeah, because I don't know if a lot of people are probably gonna know more about this than I do, but I don't know of too many Western games.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's been a few, but I'm trying to think hard about like what other games have come out that have done this Western idea.
Nothing recent, I would say.
Yeah, so this is exciting. This is a like not a need, but this is a game idea or design that hasn't really been met in a while. So
yeah,
excited for this.
I mean, the first one was so good, and it's been a while since that came out. So, I mean, as long as they don't mess it up, I mean, I think it's going to be a huge improvement on the first one.
Yeah,
or maybe a marginal improvement.
Well, and it's a prequel too. Did you catch that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so it's a prequel to Red Dead Redemption. So it's going to be before.
That's cool.
Whatever the last game was.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't really remember the story that much. It's just most of the time I wasn't even doing missions. I was
just riding horses and shooting people.
Pretty much.
It'll apparently focus on the outlaw gang led by Dutch van der Linde. Van der Linde. I don't know how to pronounce that. Linde. Linda?
Don't know.
Who knows? But this is exciting. So I'm sure we'll hear some more news about that here in the coming months. But we're getting some cowboy games.
Yeah, I mean, it's Rockstar, so it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great. Nintendo has announced the end of the Wii Shop Channel.
It's sad.
This is the only sad news I have on this list. So sad.
I mean, I guess are they gonna let people buy stuff and then they're just gonna take down the shop, and I guess you keep everything you bought, but
yeah, that was my one thought. I was like, what happens when it does go down? Will the games they downloaded still work?
I think they will. I don't think it has anything, because you download it to the systems.
And then it's just hardwired to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, I guess it just costs too much to keep it up, and they don't expect to make... I guess they've probably been tracking sales, and it's like, okay, it doesn't financially make sense to keep this up if we're only making, however much per month.
And this could be... The only silver lining here is that this could be them starting to now focus on whatever virtual console is going to exist on the Switch.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
They're shutting down their resources on dead systems and being like, all right, let's transfer all of our resources to this new one and build a new ecosystem here.
And maybe if somebody was, hardcore into the virtual console for the Wii, they might see the virtual console open up on the Switch and be like, okay, it's time to upgrade.
Yeah, because... Yeah, chances are if you're a person who only wants to play Wii games and Wii Virtual Console games, you probably already have a Wii U or a Wii that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if Nintendo says, hey, we're going to stop supporting this, and we have a new Virtual Console on the Switch with these new games that you can't access on the old one.
And I mean, that's a pretty good reason
to jump over. Yeah. So this could be a good marketing/business decision.
I hope so.
But users will be able to add funds to their accounts until March 27th, 2018. So that means you can still buy things on there and do stuff. But soon after that, January 31st in 2019, the Wii Shop Channel will close its doors.
Oh, 2019?
For good, yeah. So
that's a long time, yeah.
We have like 2 years.
Yeah, so buy your games now if you want to.
But yeah, I am hesitant to see what Nintendo puts out with, the onslaught of classics we're getting here. It seems like it's a model that's successful for them, and it gives people what they want.
I know. I guess something that kind of worries me is they shut down the Virtual Console on the Wii. They don't add it for the Switch, and then they just keep re-releasing these classic consoles that you're paying for.
The only downside to that for me is that you just have more clutter in your house. You just have 6 systems attached to your TV at one time.
But you know you're going to get that N64 classic.
Oh, absolutely. And I already have
You have an N64, yeah.
With almost every single game you could want.
That's true. I'm going to get the N64 classic.
But yeah, when you think about wanting to buy an old retro console, you think about it for a second, and you're like, oh man, I would love to pick up a Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
But then you think about it more like logically, and you're like, yeah, I don't have this is not worth the money.
Mm-hmm.
But for $80, 21 games,
Yeah.
or N64 or whatever they, if they release the best of for that, heck yeah, I'm gonna get that. It's a really easy solution.
Do you think they'll keep going? Like, is there going to be a GameCube after that?
There can't be. I think
What? It's just too much.
file size is what I'm thinking of. I don't know how big the file sizes are on GameCube, but Nintendo is notoriously good also at creating games with very small file sizes. Their own.
Yeah.
Odyssey is like 5 gigs,
That's wild.
which is nuts.
Yeah, I mean the discs were smaller and then just what they can fit on a
Switch
cartridge
cartridge
is just
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And if you think, well, the thing we're seeing right now is AAA party publishers like EA or 2K porting their games to Switch. They're having to download separate data from the cart because the file size is too big right now.
Oh man.
So what someone said, but that's really smart, is that they're probably going to put out 64 gig cards, or because I think I don't know what the file size is right now on the Switch carts, but it'll probably get bigger and a lot easier to manage.
Interesting.
Because memory just gets cheaper and cheaper as we go along.
Moore's law, I think is what they say.
Yeah. So that is the news for the week. Pretty short list there.
Good stuff though.
Yeah, great stuff. Pretty exciting time to be alive. But we're gonna jump into the main topic, which is the SNES Classic. Be right back. All right, and we're back, and we are going to be talking about our main topic of the show, which is
the SNES Classic.
There it is. Sorry, it was a bad cue. I was waiting for you to say it. So the SNES Classic came out Friday, September 29th.
Yep.
I'm in October already. And it was, for me, a very different experience than what my friend Matt here had to go through. So, Matt, why don't you just give us a quick recap of your scenario?
Yeah, so I wasn't able to pre-order because they released pre-orders just during the middle of a work day. Tried to get them online. Website was crashing.
Just a nightmare.
Adding it to the cart, then it's not in the cart, and then there's 2 in the cart, and it was just...
And then you have nothing.
Yeah, it was not good. So Jake was able to secure a pre-order because of Hannah.
I wasn't able to.
Yeah, Hannah got that, but I was not able to get one. So I decided just to, I guess, take my chances the night of, and so I called the Walmart that I usually go to. It's where I got my Switch and everything, and I asked if they're gonna have it at midnight, and they said, yeah, 12:01. We'll be selling them.
Easy money.
Yeah, so I go about 11:30, and there's a pretty big line.
Smart.
And I'm sitting in line, and I'm counting people, and there's about 20 people ahead of me, and we thought they were going to get around 30. So I'm feeling pretty good at this point. But when I get up there, I stick my card in, and I punch in my PIN number, or what I thought was my PIN number, and it doesn't work. And
oh no.
And so they're like, go ahead and re-enter it. And so I re-enter it again, and it does not go through. And I've got money on my card and everything. But then I told my brother about this, and he was like, you're an idiot. You don't know your PIN number. But do you ever it's muscle memory. And like,
oh, absolutely.
But you know your PIN number probably.
Yeah, I know it.
Okay.
But there has been plenty of times where, like when your bank assigns you just a standard PIN at first, and then you can just use that if you want to.
Yeah, I think that's what I did. Yeah.
And I just remembered that from like rote memory of doing it. But then, because it's not a number you're familiar with, it's just a random like code they gave you. It doesn't like log.
There's no significance to it. So I just, when I'm not thinking about it, you just punch it in real quick. But anyway, there's people behind me, and so the pressure's on. I'm starting to get sweaty. Like, I'm really nervous. I'm totally overthinking what my PIN number is. So I say, all right, I'll just step aside. You can serve these customers. I don't want to hold up the line and be that guy. Everyone's tired
being courteous
and grumpy. And so I step aside, and they immediately just sell that system to the next person in line. I'm like, wait, will you, like, I waited in line. Can I, like, take my system and get back in line and after you serve these people?
Oh, gosh.
And they were basically like, no, you can't do that. So I'm just stunned. I have no idea what to do. So I get back in line, and they had a rule where you couldn't buy a second system until everyone in line had been served.
Yeah.
So I get back in line, and
You at the very end of the line at this point.
very end of the line, and
gosh.
and in front of me there's these people there's these 3 women who had already purchased.
They already got theirs.
And they're trying to get another one. So 2 of them had purchased them. One of them had not. So
old lady scalpers.
we're getting up there, and I can see that there's the perfect amount. So they can't buy duplicates, and they know because I haven't bought one yet. They can't buy seconds until everyone's been served. So there's the perfect amount for the line that's there, and I get up to the front, and they're about to leave because they're like, oh, there's only one left. And one of the ladies was like, well, his card doesn't work. So
let's just see what happens.
Yeah, they literally said, let's just see what happens. And
jerk move.
I get up there, and they say, they actually say, all right, this is the moment of truth. And they're hovering right behind me. And it's just the most pressure ever. And I, like an idiot, key my pin in wrong, apparently. Again. And I'm just crushed. I waited here for about, only 45 minutes to an hour. So it's not the end of the world.
It's
late. I'm tired. I don't want to look for it the next day. But then, stroke of luck.
Destiny happened.
The guy that bought the second to last one right in front of me said, man, if you've got PayPal or Venmo, I'll just run my card and you can just pay me right after.
Dude. And
he did. He bought the SNES Classic. We stepped over, and I hit him up on Venmo, and and we talked for like 15 minutes. And we're getting a beer next week.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
You got in touch with him?
Yeah, so I commented back on the original Venmo purchase. I was like, yo, man, can I buy you a beer? So, James Thomas, big shout out. You definitely saved the day there.
Shout out James Thomas, man. That is awesome.
Yeah, it was it was a roller coaster, lows to highs. So definitely super thankful to you, James. And it
just goes to show people, if you're friendly to those around you, oftentimes they have no problem helping you out in situations like that.
But those ladies were not going to help me out.
I mean, you would not have gotten one
if it weren't for this guy.
Had you not been able to sit in line with him for a second and talk to him.
It's true. Yeah, it definitely helped that I went back around and we were in line together. It was just a crazy serendipity. Like
if you had given up and been like, well, just gonna go home, you wouldn't have gotten one that night. But you might have, I don't know. There was like, it took GameStop an hour to sell out of their SNES.
Oh, really?
Pre-orders. But he's like, but that makes sense because they had 30, and it takes about 2 minutes to check out every single person. So
makes sense.
Basically, if you weren't in line, you weren't going to get one.
Yeah, I mean, I got home at like 1 or 1:30, but it was incredibly stressful, and I was just mentally exhausted when I got home.
But you got it.
But I got it.
And it was a victory. So now that SNES will always have. Do you call it a SNES or Super Nintendo?
Probably Super Nintendo. I don't really call it SNES.
I've never called it a SNES until I just realized it was easier to say. I'm like, it's
Super
like
Nintendo
one syllable. So we enter the question of how did you get one? Have you had a chance yet to play it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I played a decent portion of yesterday and played a little bit this morning as well.
So I tried dabbling in like every single game just for a second. I did the first thing you said you were going to do by playing Star Fox.
That was hard.
That game is hard.
I hated it at first, but then it really grew on me.
Yeah.
It's just so bad looking.
Yeah, it's the polygons have not aged well on Star Fox, unfortunately.
So Star Fox is an interesting game on this because they added that extra
Super FX chip. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how did that work on the original? Was the chip in the actual cartridge?
It was in the cart.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in the cart, and the Super Nintendo was able to actually read more data off of it because this chip was doing more processing inside of it.
Yeah, so every other game on this is totally sprite-based, 16-bit graphics.
Yeah. There's only one other cart that I think maybe Super Mario Kart and FX or F-Zero might use it. Maybe. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I tried playing Mario Kart, and it's something.
That
man.
game is so hard and so bad.
John said something. My brother said something really interesting. And when you really think about it, it's true. It does not feel like you're driving on a road. It feels like things are just coming at you, and you're completely still.
It's like
which is what it is.
It's like those bad racing games from forever ago, where like the cart was just stationary in the back of the screen or the bottom of the screen, and then just things would kind of move towards you, so it looked like you were moving.
Yeah, and things just get bigger.
Oh gosh,
by like a factor of 3.
Yeah,
as it's
they
coming
just get
in.
huge, and then like when you turn, like it's just like the whole screen's like. And I was like, oh my god. Yeah, I tried playing. I was just, we'll shout out Jason Letter in this podcast just because he was arguing that Super Mario Kart is in fact a better game than Mario 64, and after playing this now on a Super Nintendo,
I think he's full of crap.
I can factually state that it is not a better game.
He said hands down it's the best Mario Kart ever made. I
could
do not understand.
I could understand nostalgia for like nostalgia's sake. Like this game's awesome, I have a lot of memories tied to it.
Sure,
I love Super
grew
Mario
up
Kart.
playing it with your brother
That's
or whatever.
fine.
Yeah.
But if comparatively, if you look at the two, Mario Kart 64 is leaps and bounds above just everything, like control, visuals, and then obviously it's because technology, so I'm not going to knock it for that.
Right.
But man,
I will
this
say
is funny.
it is impressive what they were able to do with such limited technology.
Yeah, I mean the game is still kind of fun actually. I was having fun with it. And I was like, once I got a hang of like actually how to take turns, you can't drift in that game.
Yeah.
Or if you drift, you slide like directly into like the wall.
Yeah.
So that's funny. Sorry, long tantrum on tangent on Mario Kart. But I started. So yeah, you were saying basically like, that game specifically. Star Fox is super dated. You got Star Fox 2. Did you play it at all?
Star Fox 2?
Mm-hmm.
Did not.
Okay.
Unlocked it. And so I might try to at least beat Star Fox 1 before I play it.
That'd be, yeah, because I think Star Fox 2, I jumped right into it after I unlocked I beat the first level. It has, it continues the storyline from Star Fox 1, like, immediately.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, crap. I was like, I should probably go back and play the first one.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess I might appreciate Star Fox 2 better if I play the first one. Possibly.
And I definitely remember playing Star Fox on Super Nintendo. Just that music.
The music's great, yeah.
Yeah, and so I've just bounced around. One game that surprised the crap out of me was Kirby All-Star. It has like 8 games inside of it.
I played that one a lot.
Dude, that game is good.
It's so good.
I was so impressed.
I think people say it's the best Kirby game ever
I
made.
was so impressed with everything that game did. I was like, this game is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
The copy abilities and like the mixing of your powers, and there's so much more variety, I feel like, even than Kirby 64.
Yeah,
because like you can suck somebody up and take their power like normal. That's normal. But then you can throw your power out and they become like your ally,
your buddy. Yeah,
and they can follow you around and they can help you out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can copy another ability, and if you spit that out, your buddy absorbs that and turns into a different person. So I got like karate something Knuckle Joe.
Yeah.
I got Knuckle Joe and I was like, holy shit. I was like, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, it's super cool.
So that game really surprised me. But I haven't got a chance to play all of them.
Yeah, I've played I think 4 of them.
I spent a lot of time playing Mario RPG. I got
Me
started
too,
with that.
man.
It's so good.
It's so hard.
It's tough.
It's so hard.
Have you figured out timing yet?
Maybe.
So
do you have any tips?
As soon as like you see the action that the person is doing. I mean, did you do the instruction with Toad?
No, I accidentally skipped that. I was like, no, I got this, and then I was like, oh.
So I skipped it too, and I was like, I probably shouldn't have skipped that because I know there's probably something I forgot, but I knew the generic stuff for the most part. So as soon as you see the action, like Mario punches or whatever, you push A.
Yeah.
As soon as like his fist goes out though. So like it's not like when he starts, like he walks up really fast and then sticks his fist out, and you push A real quick, and he'll do a lot more damage.
Yeah,
he'll punch twice basically. And then the same thing with blocking. Did you know you can block?
No, I didn't.
So if an enemy comes to attack,
that's probably why I'm losing so bad. I definitely should have done that.
Yeah, I should have done it too for a refresher. I was like, that would have helped a little bit. But basically, yeah, if an enemy comes to attack you, same concept. As soon as you see their action to try and hit you, you push B.
Yeah.
And you can block their attacks for the most part. Yeah.
So have you beat the first boss yet? The alligator guy?
Okay. Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, the moneybags guy.
Yeah, and then did you go back to the castle? And there's a bunch of guys on pogo sticks.
No.
Guys?
No. The game is actually really funny still.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I am super impressed, and I've heard so much about it for the last 10 years I've been on the internet, but it's living up to the hype. I see why this game is so beloved.
Yeah, it's a very straightforward RPG. Everything's super, and I was also like, I love playing these games on this specifically because the load times and like everything is just snappy. Like it's quick. To pull up your menu, just push X. It's there. You can throw a mushroom on your guy. You can throw some armor on if you want to.
And all the battles are so quick. I love it.
Yeah, in and out, super fast. I played about an hour and a half of that.
Yeah,
that was my longest time spent. I played some Donkey Kong Country, really, really good too.
Yeah, there's just so many good games.
The music in that game, so good.
RPG and Kirby are my two most played right now.
I tried playing Contra just for a second. That game is hard, dude.
Me and John played some co-op. It was awesome.
I died like so fast.
Yeah, like when you're jumping on the rails and there's the guys coming down to pick you up.
Yeah, you die. I died so fast in that game. And I realized that there's like different power-ups you can get. The homing ones seem like the best way to go, just because they just go everywhere.
Yeah, homing is pretty good. Scatter's always pretty good.
Oh my gosh, I was just getting duked on those.
Did you get to the second level where it's top down?
No, I was just playing by myself and I died so fast.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I suck at this game.
Yeah, Contra has always been pretty tough.
Oh my gosh! So I wrote this on here. Any standouts? It seems like so far our standouts are Mario RPG, Kirby All Star.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get into the games that maybe I haven't played before, or maybe are a little bit more obscure. So RPG is definitely a game that's super hard to find, and also it's just one that I haven't played. So I'm super excited to be playing that. I would say it's definitely a standout.
Yeah.
Because there's not even really a point talking about Zelda, Link to the Past, and Super Metroid. Those are just iconic, classic games.
Yeah, I will play those eventually.
I will definitely play those, but I have played them before. I haven't beat Super Metroid, but I will eventually.
Yeah. And I played a little bit of Super Mario World just because that was a game I remember playing a ton growing up with my brothers, and still such a good game. But I realized like maybe it feels so good to actually play on the pad as well. They did a great job recreating the gamepad. However, the cords are actually still short. Like they are short. And my TV setup is pretty close to the TV, like my couch is. But if I'm playing, I'm fine. If I'm sitting on the left side of the couch, it's fine. But if someone wants to sit next to me, it's going to be a little bit of a stretch to get it over there.
Me and John played around a Street Fighter.
Oh yeah,
it was pretty fun. Definitely doesn't look as good as the arcade version, but it was fun.
Gosh, it's just this console itself is so special to me because this is my first console really that my family had, or my brothers and I played. So a lot of these games I remember seeing growing up, and a lot of them I played, a lot of them I didn't play or watched him. You know, and Mario RPG was one of those where I remember watching him play.
Yeah,
like as soon as we finished dinner, we'd just go upstairs and just keep playing. I was like, man, this game's awesome. So I'm excited to get into that. The music's getting a little annoying though. Overall consensus though, like super.
I was shocked by how small it actually is.
This thing is tiny. I should have had it on the table here so we can kind of just showcase it.
Should we not magic?
We
could magically make it show up.
Oh wow! Look at that. The SNES just magically showed up in my hands.
Dang!
It's what I would call the SNES day ever.
SNES day ever.
So this thing is tiny.
Yeah, we were. I was really, really shocked. I knew it was going to be small, but I mean, it's.
People were saying it's small, and even the box. Like when I got the box, I was like, oh, this is a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, I mean, you know, the Super Nintendo controller just looks so good. Feels great in your hands. Good quality. I don't remember there being an angle like this for some reason. I could have sworn it was like just more flat. But either way. It just feels right playing traditional, 16-bit games on a controller like this.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone's done like a really in-depth analysis. I mean, I'm sure they have, but to me, as far as I can tell, I mean, it feels like a perfect recreation.
Perfect, and I love like the concave versus the what's the other word? concave,
convex.
Yeah, convex buttons. I love that.
Yeah, that is super nice.
It just feels so good.
Yeah, I mean they absolutely nailed it, and just like the system itself, the power slider right here, and like
turns it on,
the reset.
That's the one thing that I actually wish they had done. Like either there's like, I wish they had done like some button combination. Like if you hit start and select at the same time, you can go back to the home menu. Because if you want to go back and select a different game, which I was doing a lot when I first got it, I was like, okay, new game. You have to hit this reset button, and that'll take you back to the home menu. But it's
cool because it's instant. Like as soon as you hit reset, you're back at the home menu. And if you're familiar with the 3DS Virtual Console with the restore points, that's where you can suspend a game and then you can just save it right there. So it doesn't matter about in-game save points. You can save at any point.
Which is really nice for a lot of those JRPGs or even Super Mario RPG, like having to grind to a save point. You can literally just do a suspend and it's exactly where you left off.
So in Kirby, I actually screwed up pretty bad. I beat one of the games. So I was like the Dynablade one. I don't know if you played it, but it's like five Kirby levels. So I beat that game.
Can you explain real fast how that works? Because I was confused when it said 8 games in one. Okay, and I clicked one that said like, I don't know, it was Sweet something like that. And I was like, okay, and it was a normal Kirby game.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused about that too.
If you don't know, it's fine. I was just like, this is odd. I thought it was like gonna be like a game mode, like a mini game kind of deal.
Yeah, there's a few mini games in it, but a lot of them, I guess when it says 8 games in one, it might have just been how they developed it, because it's like a complete game, but it's super short. And I think they're all a little bit themed, like the Dynablade or Dynabird or whatever. You play like 5 levels, and I think that game has an emphasis on copy abilities. Like there's more copy abilities on that one. And then there's the cave one, which is a little bit more just like pure exploration. And that one you're
makes
like
a lot of sense.
Collecting items and collecting money in that one. So there's minor gameplay differences in each game.
Gosh, that is so cool.
It's very cool.
I did not expect that. I was like, this is a full Kirby game, is what it seems, but it's pieced into different experiences. Like, okay, this one, it's gonna be a lot of platforming. This one's gonna be a lot of mixing
fighting.
powers.
So I beat that one, and I went back to save the restore point, and I accidentally did not save it. I went down, and I think maybe what I was trying to do is overwrite one that I had. I've progressed for about 40 minutes, so I wanted to just overwrite it, but I clicked A, and it immediately just loaded that one. And there was no way to get back.
Did it not? So it didn't save. Yeah,
it didn't save.
Didn't save on the actual game itself where you are. That's where I got a little confused. I was like, so wait, did it save my actual game, or like how's that gonna compare?
So I mean, I still had fun playing it, but if I want to complete the game, I'm gonna have to replay.
Go back a little bit.
Which it's fine.
Could be worse.
They're short. It's fun.
But yeah, also just like really cool. Just love this. This idea of just having the normal ports there, and it's just this little pop-off cover.
I know they were so faithful to the original look
that they just kept this, and they probably knew people would probably just have this sitting somewhere. They're not going to probably have it plugged in all the time, so like let's make sure that it looks just like a small Super Nintendo. But yeah, you can just pick up on this, pop it off, and it has the same plugins as the Wii did.
That's the Wii, isn't it?
Yeah, same exact Wii plugin.
So what would happen if you plug this into a Wiimote? Could you actually use this for the Virtual Console, I wonder?
I believe so, yeah. I believe it's backwards compatible with other, retro stuff.
That'd be really cool.
I'm interested in the wireless, like 8-bit DO. I forget how to pronounce that, but it's basically like 8-bit version of the Super Nintendo controller. And it has this plug-in just with a wireless receiver on it.
Interesting.
I wonder how I'm closing that. There we go. So there you have it. There is the Super Nintendo. I guess I would have a hard time not recommending that you try to pick one of these up. The only caveat being that it's definitely hard to get a hold of. So I mean, but Nintendo has done I feel like this was much easier to get a hold of than the regular Nintendo or just Nintendo.
Yeah, the first one was probably just an experiment to see what the demand was going to be like.
But now they know, and like this. Honestly, if I'm comparing the two, has so much more of high quality, like just so many more high quality game titles on it. Almost all these are perfect games. So if you haven't played these before, even if you're a person who's not grown up with these games, these are masterpieces. Most of them are.
Mm-hmm.
You can skip a few, and that's fine. Like, that's totally user preference. But like we're saying, like Earthbound, Super Mario RPG, Legend of Zelda, Super Metroid,
Yeah.
all such good games.
I mean,
Final Fantasy 3 or 6.
Yeah, I would recommend this to anyone. If you had this growing up, I mean, it'll bring you right back. If you didn't have this, like I actually didn't have a Super Nintendo. It's the only Nintendo console I haven't owned.
You had a OG Nintendo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, OG Nintendo. I had Zelda. I had all those games, the big gold cart and everything. But so for me, I've played most of these games through other virtual console and emulators and whatnot. But for me, it feels like I finally own the Super Nintendo, which I missed out on. So
just turn it on, and this is a much better user experience in terms of not having to put old games in and make sure the carts work and all that kind of crap. But
you gotta blow on it.
It's so snappy. You just turn it on and you can just bounce the game you want and jump right back into where you were previously.
Yeah, and I think some people will say like, okay, well, I have an emulator where I can play 500 games for free.
Yeah.
And that's your choice.
That's valid.
But yeah, I understand that. But for the authenticity of this and the just, I don't know, I love consoles, and I've been playing consoles my entire life.
Yeah.
And so to actually own a physical, I guess, replica, it's really cool. And I'm sure people will find a way to plug this into their Raspberry Pi or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure. Yeah, people have already learned how to hack these things and put all the games on it. But there was a funny. Have you heard of the Hard Times?
Mm-mm.
It's basically like the Onion for video game journalism, and it was making a joke about that. It was like gamer. It's basically like how to download all the Super Nintendo games onto a Raspberry Pi, so that way you can't shut the F up about it. Because I feel like that's the common thing too. It's like anybody that doesn't want to buy one of these is like, I could just do it myself. Shout out Harley Cloud and stuff like that. They're all like, yeah, I can just make it myself. I don't need it. And honestly, that's a valid point. But yeah, same thing for me. Like it's very authentic. It just feels good to have something like this, even though it is obviously a miniature version of that. But
I wouldn't want it to be full size.
Just knowing that Nintendo created this themselves too, like you can definitely see it in the quality of just at least the controller, and the emulation is fantastic.
Yeah,
like that's part of the the risk you run with emulation online, just from random websites is. Sometimes they're kind of buggy, or they're like weird versions of the games, and there's sometimes like the files corrupt. Whereas this, you just plug it in and go.
Yeah, I think this is going to be absolutely huge for Christmas. I mean, $80 is right on that like point where it's pretty affordable, and it'll just be like an incredible.
$80 is a no-brainer. This is stupid. Like if you're trying to say like it's not worth the price, you just go ahead and like look up what these games would cost you. Virtual console, what they would cost you on an original Super Nintendo. I think it's like, I talked about it before, but it's like $800 something if you wanted all the games on the original, and then I think it's like $180, basically double what this cost if they offered them for Virtual Console.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for the price and how much content you get, I mean it's a great purchase, and they really didn't leave any games off of it. It has everything I would want to play.
The only one that people are complaining about is Chrono Trigger.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is a great game. So if you want to play that one, 3DS, PS Vita, I think they all have them on there. So just check it out there if you want one. One of those games.
Do you know? Did they do the alternate color scheme in Japan for like the Famicom?
Yeah, Famicom.
That's cool.
And I actually love the Famicom look a little more than this one, even though this is what we had growing up. I love the purple. I mean, obviously we have purple themes, so it's kind of based off of that. However, the multicolored buttons look so cool.
They do.
On those.
They really do.
So if you haven't looked at that, just check it out real quick. The Famicom has a cooler look to it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, that's pretty much it. Anything else you want to say about the old SNES Classic?
I don't think so. I mean, that's pretty much everything. Go get it if you can. Hopefully they've done a better job stocking it. But if you're on the fence, I would say go for it. It's a lot of fun, and it's going to be something that you could play with pretty much anyone around our age that grew up during this time. There's going to be something on there. I will say it's more predominantly single player games, which might just be the era, that it came out. Multiplayer gaming wasn't as big. I think the N64 really brought the heat for multiplayer. So, it's going to be primarily a single-player endeavor.
Yeah, because if you think about the time frame, this was coming out of like the arcade period where like arcades were huge, and then this came along and this pretty much brought arcade graphics to the home. People were like, it's usually 1 or 2 player games, but a lot of the experiences Nintendo was creating were 1 player games because that's all they had for processing power. So with the 64, you saw a lot more of those. Multiplayer games.
Yeah, so that's the only caveat I would say is expect to play if you want to play a lot of these games, you're going to be playing
a lot of single player
by
games.
yourself. Yeah,
but even if you didn't grow up with a Super Nintendo, like I said, these games are all masterpieces, and you can pretty early on just see that in the design and the music and the way they were made, and that they're still genuinely very, very fun games.
Yeah, even though they came out 15, 20 years ago.
No, more than that, man. Think about it. 2017, this came out in 80, I don't even know. This is embarrassing. I should know the date this came out. But yeah, it's been a very long time, like 30 years almost.
Yeah, that's wild.
So, unfortunately, that is the end of the podcast. Remember, BitCast is a weekly podcast that covers most things pop culture and video games. Matt, thanks so much for being on the podcast, man.
No problem.
It's a good time. SNES Classic. Remember, if you are a listener, to send any emails or topics to bitcast@bitbloggist.com. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep on talking about it until someone sends one in. As soon as I get one, I'll do it like maybe every other podcast. Or at least not twice per show. Leave reviews for us. Check out things on bitbloggist.com. We'll always be posting some more new content there. And as always, thanks for tuning in to talk about some stuff. Perfect.